So if you own a 15 to 18 3.5 liter EcoBoost powered F-150 like the one behind me, and you want to make some pretty impressive torque and horsepower gains, but you don't want to actually turn any wrenches, you should be checking out a tuner like the Edge Gas Evolution CTS2. Now there are a lot of tuner options available on the site, so I can try and narrow it down for you. This is actually one of the more affordable full color touchscreen options, and it comes with probably the most amount of features out of all the available touchscreen tuners. This thing has all kinds of benchmark, data log, and reading and clearing trouble code features. It can also make some pretty cool custom gauges on here, and it can monitor pretty much everything that the ECU monitors for real-time data logging. What I really like about this tuner is how well the performance tunes on the device can provide additional horsepower and torque. There are 3 preloaded tunes on the CTS2 that all provide performance gains. Those range from an 87 octane pump gas tune all the way up to a 91 octane pump gas tune. We decided to see what that 91 octane tune could do for our truck. We actually ran the truck behind me on the Dyno bone stock, and it made 300 horsepower and 344 pound-feet of torque. We then installed the level 3 tune, again 91 octane recommended, and our truck made 348 horsepower and a whopping 407 pound-feet of torque. Now if you look at the graphs, you can see some pretty nice curve gains. The curve gains are awesome because that's what you're going to feel when you're driving around on city streets. Now besides those pretty impressive gains, there are a couple other reasons why I like the CTS2 in particular. Again, it's very user-friendly, like I said earlier. This thing pretty much functions like any smartphone or tablet, so even if you're not familiar with tuning your truck or running data logging, this thing's very easy to use. It also has some pretty easy to follow tutorials to help you through all those different functions. Besides that, tuning your truck with this thing should only take you 10 to 15 minutes, and again, you're getting 48 horsepower and 63 pound-feet of torque without turning any wrenches, so it's safe to say this is probably one of the easiest mods to get the most power out of your EcoBoost. So if you like the way that the CTS2 provides those performance gains, you like the price, you like the features, you should stick around. I'm just going to show you how to go through everything step by step. It shouldn't take us more than a couple of minutes, and honestly, I have to give this thing an install rating even though it doesn't really need one. It's a very soft 1 out of 3 wrenches on my difficulty meter. Great for first-time users who want to get some performance out of their truck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and plug this guy in and get started. So getting started with your tuner is pretty straightforward. You're going to plug the HDMI end of the cable into the tuner itself, and you're going to take the other end, the OBD2 end, plug it into the OBD2 port underneath the steering column. So once you got your tuner plugged in, you can get it set up on your windshield mount where you want your tuner to live. If you're a first-time user, it's going to display this warning. Go ahead and click yes. It's going to bring you to the home page, but before it does that, it's going to let you know it's going to display that annoying warning a couple more times when you first use the device. For first-time setup, you want to make sure you select the correct vehicle. Obviously, we're working with our EcoBoost F150, so we want to select Ford. Now, before you continue, make sure your key is in the on or run position. It's going to ask you to do this frequently, so make sure you have your keys handy while you're using your tuner. Now, obviously, the EcoBoost is an automatic transmission only, so go ahead and select no. Now, again, if this is your first time using the Edge tuner, it's going to give you some tips for using the device. Obviously, it is a touch screen. This is letting you know that you can drag your finger across the screen to switch to the backup camera if you want to use it. Now, obviously, everybody cares about performance the most. That's really why we all like these tuners. So let's go over how to tune your truck first. To do that, we're going to select Performance Settings. Now, the device will display what tune you have on your truck currently, and if you have not yet tuned your truck, it will say that it is stock up here, as you can see. We're going to go full tilt and see what our race tune can do. Let's go ahead and select the race tune. It's going to let you know that you need at least 91 octane or higher fuel. Our truck has 93 octane in it, so we're good to go. Now, at this point, the device is communicating with the ECU itself, and it's saving your stock file. It's very important that you do not unplug the tuner. It's also very important that you do not turn your key to the off position. Now, once the device has saved your stock file, it's going to ask if you want to create a custom program. Now, it's very important that you do not make any changes to the preloaded tune unless you know what you're doing. I'm not going to get into any of the details because if you know what you're doing, I don't need to tell you. And if you don't know what you're doing, well, it's safe to say that if you make any changes and you're not sure, you could cause some serious damage to your engine. Creating a custom program includes the ability to change things like spark, timing, and error, and it could cause some serious issues, like I said. We're only interested in what the preloaded tune can offer, so we're going to select no. Now, at this point, whether you've selected a custom program or not, the tuner will begin installing the new file. Again, it's very important that you do not unplug the device and you do not ever turn your key to the off position completely. The device may prompt you to do so, but you should only do it if the device tells you to. Now, once the device has prompted you to turn your key to the off position for the final time, it's going to let you know that the tune has installed successfully. It's also going to bring you back to the home screen for the different tune profiles, and it's going to list the current level of the tune that you're running, which in our case you can see we've successfully installed our race tune. Now, if you want to enter the different features of the tuner itself, you're going to select this little bottom button here. Now, obviously, besides tuning, the Edge tuner comes with a lot of different features. Let's go left to right. We're going to look at how to change the layout on the device itself. Changing the layout on the device is pretty straightforward. I showed you how to change the background on the gauge screen, but you can do it from the screen layout menu as well. Pretty straightforward. If you want to change the background, simply select the background option, and you can navigate left to right to choose the different backgrounds. We're going to leave ours the same. However, if you want to change the layout itself, you can do so. You can actually select two predetermined layouts that you can quickly switch between when you're on the gauge screen itself. To do that, you can select layout 1, and you can see the available options here. Master is what we have currently selected, but if we want to display all numeric values, we can select digital. And again, if we want to cycle between digital and a different layout, we can select layout 2, and we can change that one as well. Let's go ahead and select accelerometer, and that's going to change the layout if we want to go between digital and the one I just chose. Now, the home screen of this tuner is the gauge screen. By default, you're going to have a center tachometer style gauge, and you have some numeric gauges on the left and right hand sides. If you want to switch any of these gauges, it's really straightforward. All you got to do is click on one of them. Once you've selected the gauge that you want to change, you're going to select New PID. A PID is simply a fancy acronym for the gauge itself. Now, this Edge tuner has tons of different available gauges. There's too much to go into detail-wise, but we're going to select a different gauge just to show you how it works. We're going to go ahead and select our fuel level. Once you've selected your new gauge, you can make some other changes to it if you want to, such as the gauge color, and you can also set alerts for those gauges if they trip a certain threshold. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to exit the menu so we can see what our new gauge looks like. And you can see it displays our new fuel level as a percentage from 0 to full. And the same thing applies to all the other numeric gauges on the screen as well. If you want to change any of those, you can simply tap on one of them. By default, the gauge I just selected is our air intake temperature sensor. We're going to select a new one. Again, there are a ton of different options that we're not going to get into, but let's go ahead and select our Spark Advance just for fun. And again, exit the menu, and the Edge tuner will load that new gauge and the appropriate value. Now, this is technically the home screen of the tuner, like I mentioned a moment ago. There are two ways to access the settings available on the tuner. First, we'll go over notifications and device settings. To do that, you can see this little clear drop-down up here. Go ahead and click on it. This will give you any notifications as well as any alerts that you might have set, which we'll get into the alerts later. Now, if you want to make any changes to the device layout itself, you can do so here. You can actually customize the color layout of the device by selecting the icon that I just clicked on, and it gives you an RGB format here. Simply move the sliders to create your own custom color scheme. We're going to leave ours stock for now, but if you want to, you can also change the background on the device. To do that, you're going to select the little picture icon right here, and that's going to change the background for you. I like this little camo one here, so let's go ahead and keep it like that for now. Now, another cool feature of the Edge tuner is the ability to data log. Data logging happens in real time, and basically the device records all the parameters that the ECU monitors while your truck is running. If you want to view any of the information from your previous data log session, you can view that under Records. Records will display the last known values from all the data logging figures that you've been monitoring. Our truck has not been ran since we installed our tuner, so all of our values are at default or 0. However, if you want to view those, they would be displayed here. You can navigate up and down through all the available options. If you want to clear these records for the next time you run your truck, simply select Clear All. Now, if you want to save your data log files and view them in greater detail, you can do so. To do that, you're going to select the data log option. Now, the Edge tuner has 5 available slots where you can save those data log files. To save a data log file, all you have to do is trigger one of these save files. To do that, you're going to select one of them. It's going to automatically turn it on. It's going to let you know that data logging will begin when you return to the gauge display. It's going to data log the entire time your truck is running, and if you want to stop data logging, you can do so by turning off the option on this screen, or you can simply turn your truck off and wait for the device to power down. So you can see now we have a data run file on for save slot number 1. Again, if you want to data log and then save that file, simply select it again, and it will turn it off. Another cool feature of the Edge Tuner is the ability to benchmark your truck in real time while you're driving around. To do that, you can select performance testing. There are a couple different tests that you can measure using the Edge Tuner while your truck is running. You can measure 0 to 60 time, you can also measure a quarter-mile time, and although it's not technically dyno accurate, it will give you a rough estimate of the horsepower that your truck is currently making. To begin one of the tests, simply turn your truck on and select one of the tests. Now obviously we're not going to run our truck right now, we're in our dyno room as we speak. However, it will prompt you to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour for the 0 to 60 mile per hour test, and it will automatically log and benchmark that information, and it will display it once you've finished your test. You can do the same for the other two tests, and if you want greater detail, you can select the instructions. It'll give you a rundown of each of the available tests and what you need to do before you start driving. Next cool feature on our Edge Tuner is the ability to read and clear trouble codes. If you ever get a check engine light, you can skip having to go to the dealer or that speed shop down the road and paying money just for someone to scan it. The Edge Tuner will actually do it for you. To do that, select the Diagnostics option. Under the Diagnostics option, you'll see the trouble codes. That's the only option. Go ahead and click on it. It's going to show those two options I just mentioned, the ability to read and clear DTCs, also known as diagnostic trouble codes. They display as the check engine lights or other lights on your dash. If you want to know what one of your check engine lights is, simply select Read DTCs. Now at this point, the device is going to begin reading and pulling all the diagnostic trouble codes that might be causing the check engine light on your dash. Now our truck doesn't have any issues, so there are currently no diagnostic trouble codes to be displayed. However, if there were any issues, they would be displayed on this screen. Now, something else that you can do, you can actually clear any of the lights on your dash, including that check engine light. To do so, simply select Clear DTCs. Again, the device will let you know that those trouble codes have been cleared. Now keep in mind, if you don't actually fix the underlying mechanical issue, chances are that the light will reappear. However, you can temporarily remove it so that it is not an annoyance. Another cool feature of the Edge Tuner is the ability to monitor your fuel economy in terms of fuel and trip cost. To do that, select your mileage coach option. Again, the mileage coach says it's designed to gauge and monitor your driving habits to help you conserve fuel. It's basically a more involved version of the fuel economy option that you can display on the dash on your truck. To set up the mileage manager, it's really straightforward. All you have to do is input your current average MPGs. To do that, go ahead and select your last fuel economy option. Again, it's going to ask you to input your actual fuel economy value. Ours is currently 11.2 miles per gallon. Now once you've input your actual MPGs and you start driving around, the mileage coach will record all of the miles that you've driven, and based on current fuel price, it's also going to tell you how much it costs for you to actually drive around per mile. Again, cool little feature, a little bit more involved than the fuel economy option on your dash. Once you've set up the mileage coach, you can actually view that information in real time using the mileage coach gauge on the home display. Now the Edge Tuner is also great for maintaining your truck and setting reminders for regular maintenance. To do that, you want to select the Maintenance Manager. Maintenance Manager is going to allow you to set alerts for different maintenance options, including things like changing your air filter and changing all the different fluids in your truck. Obviously, the most common maintenance thing that we need to do is change our oil, so let's go ahead and set that up as an alert. First, you want to turn the alert on, so go ahead and select the appropriate option. Then you're going to select the interval for how often you want to get that alert. Let's go ahead and say we're using conventional oil, so we're going to set our interval for 4,000 miles. You can also set an alert for the next service based on total mileage. Our truck currently has about 3,000 miles on it, so we're going to go ahead and select the next service interval at 7,000 miles. So once you've set up any of the other alerts that you want to have displayed, all you got to do is turn the Maintenance Manager on. To do that, go ahead and select that option. That's going to turn the Maintenance Manager on, and then you need to set your odometer. The Maintenance Manager is going to use your odometer reading in order to display those alerts based on mileage. Again, our truck has about 3,000 miles on it. Now again, we set up our change oil alert, so once this truck hits 7,000 miles, we will get an alert on the Edge tuner reminding us to change our oil. And again, you can set alerts for a ton of different maintenance needs. We're not going to get into too much detail because there are so many to choose from, but just know that they all set up the same way. Now let's go over some of the settings of the Edge tuner. To do that, go ahead and select the settings icon. Now there are a bunch of different things that you can set up in here. Let's go over the backup camera. To do that, select your accessory settings. All right, once we're in our settings home screen, let's go over some of our different options here. First things first, let's go over the backup camera that is available with the Edge tuner. You're going to find all those settings under accessory settings. There are two options for the backup camera. First option is the ability to delay the camera turning on. Let's say you're changing from drive to park, or let's say that you go in reverse for only a second or two. You can determine how long you want the camera to delay turning on if you're only going to be in reverse for a moment. You can also set the option whether you want the camera to turn on automatically when you start your truck. Now under vehicle settings, you want to set the appropriate tire size. That's going to ensure that all the gauges you're monitoring in real time, as well as your data log files, are giving you the right information. Our truck still has relatively stock tires on it in terms of tire size, so we're not going to make any changes in here. But if you did have aftermarket tires that are larger than the factory tires, you could make those changes in here, again, to ensure that your gauges are displaying and your data logging correctly. Next up, you can also change some settings for the alerts that you want to see. You can set alerts in case your truck has any mechanical issues. Let's say cylinder head temperature reaches a certain threshold. You can set an alert on the device letting you know that there is going to be an issue if you reach that temperature threshold. To do that, you want to select the alert on. You can also determine whether you want the alert to be audible or not. Currently there is no audible alert, but if you want the device to beep at you, you can simply select sound on. You can also set the threshold for when you want that alarm to turn on. It's currently set at 180 degrees for cylinder head temperature. Again, if you want to make changes to that, you can do so, but we're going to leave ours at the factory recommended setting. Now, if you do set audible alarms for different alerts, you can determine how long you want it to beep at you. It's currently set for 3 seconds, pretty straightforward. If you want it to beep longer or shorter at you, you can change the amount of seconds that it will do so. You can also make some changes for the device itself, including how much you want the screen to automatically dim based on ambient light. Ours is currently set to 70%. And you can determine how long you want the device to stay lit until it turns off without any interaction. Ours is currently set to 300 seconds. A couple other important things to keep in mind here. You also want to set your vehicle weight as accurately as possible. That will also affect some of the gauges and some of the data logging features. And you also want to ensure that your accelerometer is calibrated properly on the device itself. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind on settings is the ability to factory reset the device. If you've made a bunch of changes to the device itself and you've tuned your truck, you can undo all that with one button press by selecting factory reset. Now, if you ever run into issues with your Edge tuner, you can contact customer support and they will try to help you out. To do that, you want to select the help option. Now, like I said, if you need to get in touch with them, simply select contact info. It's going to give you all the contact information for Edge tuners, including their address as well as their email and their phone number. Once you give them a call or email them, they might ask you for product or vehicle info. To access that information, you'll find that on that screen here. Product info will give you some basic firmware and software application information for the Edge tuner, and vehicle info is a convenient way for you to get your calibration number for your ECM as well as your VIN number. They may also ask you to go into tech support tools, but you shouldn't ever access that unless they specifically request you to do so, because they will walk you through making certain changes to the device that you would not otherwise do if the device is functioning correctly. So as you can see, the CTS2 has tons of features and they're very easy to use. That also wraps up my review of the Edge Gas Evolution CTS2, fitting your 15 to 18 3.5 liter powered EcoBoost F150. I'm Travis, thanks for watching, and for all things F150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.